Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming to our first session today. We're really excited to be starting off this year's annual workshop for heroes and villains alike. We hope this year will be even better than last year's. If this is your first time here, then welcome. We're always glad to see new faces, and let me tell you, you are in for the experience of a lifetime. Nowhere else can you find the latest research in the field. You might find these next couple of days to be enlightening or even life-changing. So make the most of your time and learn as much as you can. I know it's tough getting out of bed this early, but I hope we all had a good night's sleep last night. And today's going to be a long one for you all. But you'll have a lot of fun with this session. It's all about the romance and finding that special someone. People always like this one, so we decided to do it earlier to help brighten everyone's mood. But if you need that extra energy to start your day, we've got some complimentary coffee in the back. Make sure you only get 1 cup per person. There'll be refills, don't worry. Do we have an issue back there? I hope I don't have to remind anyone that this is a class for villains. This will be your first lesson for today. Toughen up. You get black coffee, take it or leave it. Alright, now that we're all settled in, are there any questions before we get started? It's no problem. Go ahead. Yes, this is our villain's guide on how to get the girl course. Are you in the wrong session? That's strange. Did someone refer you here? What did you ask for? Well, there's no 100% guarantee that you'll get that girl. I'm just here to provide you with tips for the best outcome. As much as I'd like to agree that we deserve a relationship, that's the kind of mentality that made us rethink our methods in the first place. It's the reason why the heroes tend to win out over us in that regard. No. Enacting revenge against any perceived love rivals, or our own love interest for that matter, is not one of the objectives covered. That method is outdated following our current research. Our enemies aren't inherently those with superior genes. We're usually the ones who look better anyway, but I'm not sure what that has to do with the discussion. My name is on the event information. It's not whatever that was you called me. We're not exactly planning an uprising or anything. This is meant to be done on an individual level. Unless you mean weeding out the competition, then yes, we do go over that. If that's what you were interested in learning, then you are in the right session. No, I don't think the hero session goes over that. But you're more than welcome to ask the moderator. That session won't be running until this afternoon. It should be on the schedule for room 412A. Yes, I would ask again to make sure. It's no problem, that's why we ask. Hopefully you find what you're looking for, but you're always welcome to join another one of our sessions. That's unfortunate then, but I'm sure the heroes will be more than willing to orient you in the right direction. Yes, good luck on finding that. Anyway, do we have any more questions? Alright then, let's get started. So can anyone tell me what the key traits of a villain are that someone might find attractive? Looks like someone was paying attention earlier. Yes, we generally have an aesthetic that makes us stand out from everyone else. Any others? Yes, that's a great one. Power can be one of our greatest strengths since it encompasses several areas. It can mean strength of our abilities, wealth, or even just our presence. Being able to command attention and strike fear into others is our greatest asset. because it will get us what we want. What else can we think of? That's a good one too. Having an air of mystery entices people into wanting to learn more about us. That's why we hold the big reveal of who we are, or what our story is, until the very end. It's our initial hook that gets them interested. And this actually ties into one of our most important qualities. Does anyone know what that is? Any guesses? Alright, I'll give you this one. We are very relatable. Oh, much more than any hero. How many people do you know in your life that woke up one day and found out that they were destined for greatness, leading them to go on a journey to quell some sort of evil with the help of friends they made along the way? First off, it's called the chosen one for a reason. There can't be more than one. I'm sure a lot of people would love to be part of the 0.1%, but we can't all have nice things in life. And secondly, show of hands, how many of us have been able to make 5 or more friends in the span of a week? That's right. Some people are lucky to even have one. But to deal with that many people in that short of time, that's an introvert's worst nightmare. And since that's one of our target demographics, understanding our audience's needs is a key to developing a successful relationship. Overall, heroes have set unrealistic standards for the average person. Us villains live by much more grounded expectations. I'm sure many of us have experienced loss. We've all had moments of weakness, but it's those moments that shaped us into who we are today. We're the average person who pushes through failures in order to achieve success. And who doesn't love a good success story, especially one that others can emulate? Now here we ask the most important question. We know our strengths. We have our hook. So how do we get the girl? Well, before I answer that, I have to give a bit of a disclaimer. Standard procedure and all, but I am legally obligated to inform you that pursuing a relationship with your designated love interest will increase your risk of death. Around double that of your chances when facing off against a fully powered group of heroes. Now, let's calm down for a moment. I know it sounds like it's not worth the effort, and that your life is best sacrificed for a greater evil, because it is. But we have several situations to look out for to reduce your risk tenfold. Let's start off with what we don't want to see. First off, get rid of those grudges. If you've got any bad blood between you and anyone in your life, take care of that now, especially within your own personal circles. A lot of the time, it can be our own allies who are our undoing. Did you know you're twice as likely to be killed by another villain than a hero? Sounds weird, huh? Remember this. Villains are much less forgiving than heroes. Take that from experience. Just be careful though. Being on good terms with your allies doesn't guarantee your safety. Fraternizing with a third party, especially a hero, may spark feelings of betrayal. So you may be better off running solo, or you might want to consider involving your allies in the act itself. I'm sure a couple of you here are from the same organization, or have others you plan on sharing this information with after the session. Just make sure you discuss your action plan beforehand to avoid any overlap in love interests. We don't need to be dealing with any love triangles, and believe me, we'll get to those. Before we talk about that, there's a couple of things I'd like to go over regarding how our love interests view us. We are like a brand. We need to market ourselves well to our audience. So we've got our core elements of power, mystery, aesthetic, and relatability. But how do we make those traits known? Of course, power and aesthetics are obvious. They're basically our visual advertisement, if you will. And mystery goes without saying. If we give them enough reason to want more, they will. But how do we market our relatability? Well, I hope you got yourself a juicy backstory about how you got to where you are now, because girls will eat that up. The more depressing, the better. So let's hope you've had a couple of deaths in your life. Otherwise, you might need to start partaking in some risky behaviors. Oh, but don't worry. There's other alternatives if you don't know anyone with one foot in the grave. Did you ever get rejected in the past? Did you ever fail at something that you worked so hard for? Have you ever burned your hand on the stove trying to cook something? Well, congratulations. People find even the smallest of mistakes endearing. If you can add some vulnerability to your image, then you're one step closer to victory. However, we're not out of the woods yet. There's a couple of things you need to look out for when you become the subject of interest as a result of your pitiful appearance. And it all comes down to 4 words that you never want to hear. I can fix them. The moment you hear that phrase, make a run for it, because you're not getting out of that unscathed. Either you become someone's experiment or you have your life dictated by their idolized version of you, or it all falls through, meaning you don't get the girl. But here comes some news I'm sure not many of you will be happy with. While we don't want to be changed against our will, we might need to make changes of our own volition. Namely, moving our allegiances over to the other side. Yes, I understand this is a villain's course after all. But the unfortunate truth is that our most successful cases have involved becoming a hero. That's not to say it's not possible to stick to our roots, but there's too much data backing up the tried and true method of redemption resulting in love. Now let's say you've redeemed yourself and joined forces with the heroes. An ideal situation would involve no bad blood between you and your villainous allies. But the risk is always there, unless they too follow your path of redemption. And there are some additional concerns you may have to deal with, which goes back to the love triangle. The ever-dreaded love triangle. Typically, it will involve you, your love interest, and one of their allies. Now, how do we get around this? Let me start by saying that if you have to ask yourself, will they or won't they get together, then you might as well give up now. Because as much as they don't want to admit it, they've already made up their minds. And there's not much you can do about it. No amount of spice you add to your actions and words will change a palate that's already been limited to plain bread. Don't waste your energy on it, because you're not winning in that situation. But the good news is, anything else is fair game. And we have a very effective strategy for getting rid of the competition through the means of pure wit and cunning. In order to come out as the victor, the hero must become their own undoing. Here's what I mean by that. No person is without flaws, and some flaws, when drawn out, can show us the worst in someone. A reformed villain has the advantage of having already started their journey to amend those flaws. But by making a hero's flaws apparent, we put them in a position that makes them less desirable. That's why hot-headed heroes are the best opponents in a love triangle. They stick fast to their beliefs and are often reluctant to change. And once your love interest realizes that, you strike. For those who prefer a more simplistic approach, I would suggest finding a special someone who doesn't have any other prospective suitors. Same rules apply with redemption and taking care of grudges beforehand. Oh, and do take special precautions if your love interest lacks any sort of affiliation with the heroes. They're in a much more vulnerable position, and we don't need any extra notes on the backstory. Now, to understand how to go about redeeming yourself for your best chances at getting the girl, please check out our next seminar this afternoon, The Path to Redemption, Knowing When to Reassess Your Values. I will be the speaker for that session along with my lovely partner, who will be sharing our own personal experience starting from the battlefield to a life with 3 beautiful children. I highly recommend attending for supplemental education. So, do we have any other questions before we wrap up this session? Yes. I still like to keep my villain title regardless. And there's a few things I keep from my old ways. My partner still gets after me for it, but don't tell them I said that. Just kidding. They're here moderating this session. Sorry, honey. Love you. Oh, yes. We have several sources we've retrieved this data from. Much is from personal recounts via an international survey that we've provided references for. The rest was compiled from some archives of canonical instances of romantic relationships between villains and heroes provided by self-proclaimed romance experts. But much of it was subject to scrutiny due to bias. No, we will not be providing those sources to the public. Hey, it might be nefarious to provide data without the original source, but I'm a villain. That'll be my second villainous deed for this session. Gotta keep up the integrity somehow. Well, if there aren't any additional questions, we will see you at the next session. Make sure to take the post quiz to receive your credit for this block. Take care and have a good one.